I want to welcome you to this tutorial on how hackers create undetectable malware and viruses. In one of my previous courses, we looked at how hackers create malware using the Metasploit framework and a few other methods. While this malware was somewhat undetectable by most virus scanners, it was detected by other scanners. So in this tutorial series, we'll be looking at how hackers create mostly undetectable malicious viruses or trojans, etc., using the Veil framework. Veil is available on Linux-based machines. So in this tutorial series, we'll be using the CentOS 7 Linux-based machine. So firstly, I want to go to the Veil framework website. So let's open up a browser and go to the Veil framework website. So let's go in to Firefox and we will go to type in Veil framework, and this will be the official Veil framework website that I'll show you. The Veil framework is a collection of different modules. So let's go to the official website first, veil-framework.com, and let's have a look at the different modules that are available. Once you are on the website, you will see the Veil-evasion, Veil ordnance, Veil catapult, power tools, and Veil pillage. So I'll go through these options now and explain to you what each one is. The Veil evasion is a module that allows payloads to be created. So let's go through and have a quick look at the website. But this particular Veil framework allows a hacker to obfuscate the virus or Trojan from antivirus detection. So it then allows mutation of this particular program or exe file, which makes it almost undetectable by most virus scanners. So let's go to the Veil evasion, which is a tool to generate payload executables that bypass most common antivirus solutions. So this is how hackers would use the Veil evasion to then create a payload executable that bypasses the antivirus solutions. You will note that the Veil framework is also located on the GitHub website. And Veil evasion is a part of a number of modules that we will be installing shortly. As you can see, this is just one part which allows payload executables to be created that will then be undetectable by most antivirus systems. Now there's Veil Ordnance, which is a tool that can be used to quickly generate valid stager shellcode. Then we have the Catapult system, which is a module that allows for the payload to be delivered. So it's a payload delivery tool that integrates with Veil evasion. I'll also talk about the Veil pillage module, which is the module that allows post-exploitation. So allows the user to then take control, or the hacker to take control of a victim's machine, basically allowing mostly admin rights to a Windows-based machine. We also have a section called Power Tools, which is basically a collection of PowerShell projects. But for now, we want to start with the installation of the Veil framework. So to do that, we need to go to our CentOS 7 machine, and then we want to log in using the SSH command using the root user. So let's go in and do that. We have an IP address here, which we will be using. So SSH 192 with the root user, 192.168.56.102. And that will allow us to log in as root. Once that has been logged in, we can then move on to install Python. We will be using Python because Python has the program called pip, which will allow us to install different modules and allow us to create programs using Python. So let's type in the release, and you'll see here I'm using 7.2, CentOS Linux 7.2, and we have a 64-bit operating system as listed here. We now want to install the Python program because Python has a pip package manager which allows us to install packages quite easily by using pip. So to do that, we need to run the yum install command which will allow us to install Python. So to do that, the command for that is yum install Python. So let's type that now, which is yum install and then Python. And once that is entered, we can run this, and let's have a look at the results of Python installing. Okay, so I have an error here, and I'm leaving the error in for now because we have two IP addresses or two interface cards in this machine. Unfortunately, only one IP address has been allocated. We need to get the other IP address. Because we are running two adapters here, we have a host only adapter, and which connects directly to the machine, and then we have a NAT adapter which allows us to connect to the internet. So for that reason, we seem to have one IP address assigned but not both. So to do that, I need to go back to this section and run this command and get an IP address, which is the DH client. And once I run that, an IP address should be assigned. And let's have a look at the IP address now. And you'll see we have an IP address which is 10.0.3.15. Now I can go into the VI editor and I will take out this name server. We don't need that for now. Let me save this file. And before I run this, let me also quickly install or write down another name server, which is the Google name server. And let's call it 8.8.8.8. And let's save the file now. Let's also do a yum update, which will then give us the latest repositories and make sure we are running the latest versions of things. So let this run through, and I'll leave this here so you can actually see the whole process of the actual installation. So for now, we have the CentOS 7 machine. We are doing a yum update, and then we'll install Python after we have updated the system. We are also performing the yum update to ensure that we are not using any old repositories, and the repositories that we have on this machine are the new ones. So let this all install, and once that has been installed, we'll move on to installing Python. This process may take a while depending on firstly your internet connection and also the speed of your processor. Again, I'm leaving this in so you can actually see the process, and as you install it on your end, you can follow along with these screens. Now the yum update has downloaded all the files and it is going through the installation process. We'll just wait for the installation process to finish. And what I think I'll do in the next video is then show you how we install the modules required for Python. So let's just make sure this process works fine. Firstly, let the installation finish, and then it'll do a cleanup. And once the cleanup is complete, we'll end the video and then move on to installing the modules that are required. Again, this may take a little while because we hadn't done the update previously. We are now doing the update as we speak so that we have the next step working perfectly. So we had to make sure we had a DHCP command to get an IP address for the other adapter. The one adapter was working fine, but the other IP address wasn't available, which wasn't allowing us to update using yum. Now we decided to do the yum update, which is almost complete. And once that is complete, we will move on to installing the modules required. Again, we are building an undetectable malware or Trojan or virus, etc., as hackers would do in an environment which would then allow them to take control of victim machines. This is purely for information use only. I want to show you how hackers think and how they create malicious code that can then infiltrate networks or victim machines. This exercise is being done in a closed environment, so please make sure you are not doing this on any public machines, as there are significant consequences and possible jail time if you are caught using this in a malicious way.